who in this signify no less than that they had a scorn of slavery beyond the fear of ruin, which is the height of magnanimity. The like might be shown by other examples objected against this end of popular government, as in the banishment of Aristides the Just from Athens by the ostracism, which first was no punishment, nor ever understood for so much as a disparagement, but tended only to the security of the commonwealth through the removal of a citizen whose riches or power with a party was suspected, out of harm's way for the space of 10 years, neither to the diminution of his estate or honor. And next, though the virtue of Aristides might in itself be unquestioned, yet for him, under the name of the just, to become universal umpire of the people in all cases, even to the neglect of the legal ways and orders of the commonwealth, approached so much unto the prince that the Athenians, during doing Aristides no wrong, did their government no more than right in removing him, which therefore is not so probable to have come to pass, as Plutarch presumeth, through the envy of Themistocles, seeing Aristides was far more popular than Themistocles, who soon after took the same walk upon a worse occasion. Wherefore, as Machiavel for anything since alleged hath irrefragably proved that popular governments are of all other the least ungrateful, so the obscurity, I say, into which my Lord Archon had now withdrawn himself, caused an universal sadness and cloud in the minds of men upon the glory of his rising commonwealth. Much had been ventilated in private discourse, and the people, for the nation was divided into parties that had not yet lost their animosities, being troubled, bent their eyes upon the Senate, when, after some time spent in devotion and the solemn action of thanksgiving, His Excellency Navarchus de Paralo, in the tribe of Dorian, Lord Strategos of Oceana, though in a new commonwealth a very prudent magistrate, proposed his part or opinion in such manner unto the council of state that, passing the ballot of the same with great unanimity and applause, it was introduced into the Senate, where it passed with greater. Wherefore, the decree being forthwith printed and published, copies were returned by the secretaries unto the phylarchs, which is the manner of promulgation, and the commissioners of the seal, that is to say, the Right Honorable Phosphorus de Auge, in the tribe of Judea, Dolabella de Enyo, in the tribe of Turme, and Lynceus de Stella, in the tribe of Nubia, being elected proposers pro tempore, bespoke of the tribunes a muster of the people to be held that day 6 weeks, which was the same allowed for promulgation at the Halo. The satisfaction which the people throughout the tribes received upon promulgation of the decree loaded the carriers with the weekly letters between friend and friend, whether magistrates or private persons. But the day for proposition being come, and the prerogative upon the place appointed in discipline, Sanguine de Ringwood, in the tribe of Saltum, captain of the Phoenix, marched by order of the tribunes with his troop unto the piazza of the Pantheon, where his trumpets, entering into the great hall by their blazon, gave notice of his arrival, at which the sergeant of the house came down, and returning informed the proposers, who, descending, were received at the foot of the stairs by the captain, and attended unto the coaches of state, with which Calcar de Gilvo, in the tribe of Phalera, master of the horse, and the Palatines, upon their great horses, stood waiting at the gate. The proposers being in their coaches, the train being for the pomp, The same that is used at the reception of ambassadors proceeded in this order. In the front marched the troop, with the cornet in the van and the captain in the rear. Next the troop came the 20 messengers or trumpets, the ballotines upon the curvet, with their usher in the van and the master of the horse in the rear. Next the ballotines, Broncus de Rauco, in the tribe of Bestia, king of the heralds, with his fraternity in their coat of arms. And next unto Sir Broncus, Boristines de Holywater, in the tribe of Ave, master of the ceremonies. The mace of the and the seal of the chancery went immediately before the coaches, and on either side the doorkeepers or guard of the Senate with their pole-axes, accompanied with some 300 or 400 footmen belonging unto the knights or senators, the trumpeters, ballotins, guards, postilions, coachmen, and footmen, being very gallant in the liveries of the Commonwealth, but all except the ballotines without hats, in lieu whereof they wore black velvet callets, being pointed with a little peak at the forehead. After the proposers came a long file of coaches full of such gentlemen as used to grace the Commonwealth upon like occasions. In this posture they move slowly through the streets, affording in the gravity of the pomp and the welcomeness of the end a most reverent and acceptable prospect unto the people from the Pantheon to the Halo. Being about half a mile, arrived at the Halo, where they found the prerogative in a close body environed with scaffolds that were covered with spectators. The tribunes received the proposers and conducted them into a seat placed in front of the tribe, like a pulpit, but that was of some length, and well adorned by the heralds with all manner of birds and beasts, save that they were ill painted, and never a one of his natural color. The tribunes were placed at a table that stood below the long seat, those of the horse, in the middle of those of the foot at either end, with each of them a bowl or basin before him, that on the right hand being white, and the other green. In the middle of the table stood a third, which was red, and the housekeeper of the pavilion, who had already delivered a proportion of linen balls or pellets unto every one of the tribe, now presented boxes unto the ballotines. But the proposers, as they entered the gallery or long seat, having put off their hats by way of salutation, were answered by the people with a shout, whereupon the younger commissioners seated themselves at either end of the first, standing in the middle, spake after this manner. My lords, the people of Oceana, while I find in myself what a felicity it is to salute you by this name, and in every face anointed as it were with the oil of gladness, a full and sufficient testimony of the like sense, to go about to feast you with words, who are already filled with that food of the mind which, being of pleasing and wholesome digestion, taketh in the definition of true joy, were a needless enterprise. I shall rather remember you of that thankfulness which is due, than puff you up with anything that might seem vain. Is it from the arms of flesh that we derive these blessings? Behold, the commonwealth of Rome falling upon her own victorious sword. Or is it from our own wisdom, whose counsels had brought it even to that pass, that we begin to repent ourselves of victory? For be it from us, my lords, to sacrifice unto your own nets, which we ourselves have so narrowly escaped. Let us rather lay our mouths in the dust and look up, as was taught the other day, when we were better instructed in this lesson, unto the hills with our gratitude. Nevertheless, seeing we read how God upon neglect of his prophets hath been provoked unto wrath, it must needs follow that he expecteth honor should be given unto them by whom he hath chosen to work as his instruments. For which cause, nothing doubting of my warrant, I shall proceed unto that which more particularly concerneth the present occasion, the discovery of my Lord Archon's virtues and merit, to be ever placed by his nation in their true meridian. My lords, I am not upon a subject which persuadeth me to bulk, but necessitateth me to seek out the greatest examples. To begin with Alexander erecting trophies common with his sword and the pestilence, to what good of mankind did he infect the air with his heaps of carcasses? The sword of war, if it be any otherwise used than as the sword of magistracy for the fear of and punishment of those who do evil, is as guilty in the sight of God as the sword of a murderer. Nay, more, for if the blood of Abel, of one innocent man, cried in the ears of the Lord for vengeance, what shall the blood of an innocent nation? Of this kind of empire, the throne of ambition, the quarry of a mighty hunter, it hath been truly said that it is but a great robbery. But if Alexander had restored the liberty of Greece and propagated it unto mankind, he had done like my Lord Archon, and might have been truly called the Great. Alexander cared not to steal a victory that would be given, but my Lord Archon hath torn away a victory which had been stolen while we were tamely yielding up obedience unto a nation reaping in our fields, whose fields he hath subjugated unto our empire, and nailed them with his victorious sword unto their native Caucasus. Machiavel gives an handsome caveat. Let no man, saith he, be circumvented by the glory of Caesar from the false reflection of their pens, who through the longer continuance of his empire in the name than in the family, changed their freedom for flattery. But if a man would know truly what the Romans thought of Caesar, let him observe what they said of Catiline. And yet by how much he who hath perpetuated some heinous crime is more execrable than he who did but attempt it. By so much is Caesar more execrable than Catiline. To the contrary, let him that would know what ancient and heroical times, what the Greeks and Romans would both have thought and said of my Lord Archon, observe what they thought and said of Solon, Lycurgus, Brutus, and Publicola. And yet, by how much his virtue, that is crowned with the perfection of his work, is beyond theirs who were either inferior in their aim, or his work is beyond theirs who were either inferior in their aim or in their performance. By so much is my Lord Archon to be preferred before Solon, Lycurgus, Brutus, and Publicola. Nor will we shun the most illustrious example of Scipio, this hero, though never so little less, yet was he not the founder of a commonwealth, and for the rest, allowing his hue to have been of the most untainted ray, in what did it outshine this of my Lord Archon? But if, dazzling the eyes of the magistrates, it overawed liberty, Rome might be allowed some excuse that she did not like it, and if I admit not of this comparison. For where is my Lord Archon? Is there a genius, how free soever, which in his presence would not find itself to be under power? He is shrunk into clouds. He seeks obscurity in a nation that sees by his light. He is impatient of his own glory, lest it should stand between you and your liberty. Liberty, what is that? If we may not be grateful, and if we may, we have none. For who hath anything he doth not owe? My lords, there is some hard conditions of virtue. There be some hard conditions of virtue. If this debt were exacted, it were not due, whereas, being cancelled, we are all entered into bonds. On the other side, if we make such payment as will not stand with a free people, we do not enrich my lord Archon, but rob him of his whole estate, and of his immense glory. These particulars had in due deliberation and mature debate, according unto the orders of the Commonwealth. It is proposed by authority of the Senate to you, my lords, the people of Oceana, that the dignity and office of Archon, or Protector of the Commonwealth of Oceana, be and is hereby conferred by the Senate and the people of Oceana upon the most illustrious prince and sole legislator of this Commonwealth, Olphas Megaletor, Pater Patriae, whom God preserve for the term of his natural life. 2. That 350,000 pounds per annum, yet remaining of the ancient revenue, be estated upon the said illustrious prince or Lord Archon, for the said term, to the proper and peculiar use of his highness. 3. That the Lord Archon have the reception of all foreign ambassadors, by and with the Council of State, according unto the orders of this Commonwealth. That the Lord Archon have a standing army, number 4, that the Lord Archon have a standing army of 12,000 men, defrayed upon a monthly tax during the term of 3 years for the protection of this Commonwealth against dissenting parties, to be governed, directed, and commanded by and with the advice of the Council of War, according unto the orders of this Commonwealth. 5. That this Commonwealth make no distinction of persons or parties, but every man being elected and sworn according unto the orders of the same, shall be equally capable of magistracy, or not elected, shall be equally capable of liberty and the enjoyment of his estate, free from all other than common taxes. 6. That a man putting a distinction upon himself, refusing the oath upon election, or declaring himself of a party not conformable to the civil government, may, within any time of the 3 years standing of the army, transport himself and his estate without molestation or impediment into any other nation. Number 7. That in case there remain any distinction of parties not conforming unto the civil government of this Commonwealth after the 3 years of the standing army be expired, civil government after 3 years of standing army be expired, and the Commonwealth be thereby forced to prolong the term of the said army. The pay from thenceforth of the said army shall be levied upon the estates of such parties so remaining unconformable unto the civil government. The proposer having ended his oration, the trumpet sounded, and the tribunes of the horse, being mounted to view the ballot, caused the tribe, which thronging up to the speech came almost round the gallery, to retreat a matter of 20 paces, whence Lincius de Stella, receiving the propositions, repaired with Broncus de Rauco, the herald, unto a little scaffold erected in the middle of the tribe, where he seated himself, the herald standing bare upon his right hand. The ballotines, having their boxes ready, stood before the gallery, and at the command of the tribune marched one unto every troop on horseback, and one unto every company on foot, each of them being followed by other children that bore red boxes. This is putting the question whether the question should be put. And the suffrage being very suddenly returned unto the tribunes of the table, and numbered in the view of the proposers, the votes were all in the affirmative, whereupon the red or doubtful boxes were laid aside, it appearing that the tribe, whether for the negative or the affirmative, was clear in the matter. Wherefore the herald began from the scaffold in the middle of the tribe to pronounce the first proposition, and the ballotines marching with the negative and affirmative only, Broncus, with his voice like thunder, continued to repeat the proposition over and over again, so long as it was in balloting. The like was done for every clause, till the ballot was finished, and the tribunes assembling had signed the points, that is to say, the number of every suffrage, as it was taken by the secretary upon the tail of the tribunes and in the sight of the proposers. For this may not be omitted, it is the pulse of the people. Now whereas it appertaineth unto the tribunes to report the suffrage of the people unto the Senate, they cast the lot for this office with 3 silver balls and 1 gold one. And it fell upon the right worshipful Argus de Crookhorn, in the tribe of Pasqua, first tribune of the foot. Argus, being a good sufficient man in his own country, was yet of the mind that he should make but a bad spokesman, and therefore became something blank at his luck, till his colleagues persuaded him that it was no such great matter, if he could but read, having his paper before him. The proposers, taking coach, received a volley upon the field, and returned in the same order, save that being accompanied with the tribunes, they were also attended by the whole prerogative unto the piazza of the Pantheon, where with another volley they took their leaves. Argus, who had not thought upon his wife and children all the day, went very gravely up, and every one being seated, the Senate by their silence seemed to call for the report, which Argus, standing up, delivered in this wise. Right honorable lords and fathers assembled in Parliament, so it is that it hath fallen unto my lot to report unto your excellencies the votes of the people taken upon the 3rd instant, in the 1st year of this Commonwealth at the Halo, the right honorable Phosphorus de Auge, in the tribe of Judea, Dolabella de Enyo, in the tribe of Tourme, and Lynceus de Stella, in the tribe of Nubia, lords commissioners of the great seal of Oceana, and the proposers pro temporibus, together with my brethren the tribunes and myself being present. Wherefore these are to certify unto your fatherhoods that the said votes of the people were as followeth, that is to say, unto the first proposition, nemine contradicente, unto the second, nemine contradicente, unto the third, the like, unto the fourth, 211 above half, unto the fifth, 201 above half, unto the sixth, 150 above half in the affirmative, unto the seventh, nemine again, and so forth. My lords, it is a language that is out of my prayers, and if I be out at it, no harm. But as concerning my Lord Archon, as I was saying, these are to signify unto you the true heartedness and goodness which is in the people, seeing by joining with you as one man, they confess that all they have to give is too little for his highness. For truly, fathers, if he who is able to do harm and do none may well be called honest, what shall we say unto my Lord Archon's highness? Who, having had it in his power to have done us the greatest mischief that ever befell a poor nation, so willing to trust such as they thought well of, hath done us so much good as we should never have known how to do ourselves, which was so sweetly delivered by my Lord Chancellor Phosphorus unto the people, that I dare say there was never and one of them could forbear to do as I do. Ain't please your fatherhoods, they be tears of joy. Ah, my Lord Archon shall walk the streets, as it be for his ease, I mean, with a switch, while the people run after him, and pray for him. He shall not wet his foot. They will strew flowers in his way. He shall sit higher in their hearts, and in the judgment of all good men, than the kings that go upstairs unto their seats. And one of these had as good pull 2 or 3 of his fellows out of the great chairs as wrong him or meddle with him. He has 200,000 or 300,000 men that, when you say the word, shall sell themselves unto their shirts for him and die at his foot. His pillow is of down, and his grave shall be a soft, over which they that are alive shall wring their hands. And to come unto your fatherhoods, most truly, so called as being the loving parents of the people, truly you do not know what a feeling they have of your kindness, seeing you are so bound up that if there come any harm, they may thank themselves. And alas, poor fools, they see that they are given to be of so many minds that though they always mean well, yet if there uh, come any good of them, come any good, they may thank them that teach them better. Wherefore there was never such a thing as this invented. They do verily believe that it is none other than the same which they always had in their very heads, if they could have but told how to bring it out. As now for a sample, my lords the proposers had no sooner said your minds than they found it to be that which heart could wish. And your fatherhoods may comfort yourselves that there is not a people in the world more willing to learn what is for their own goods, nor more apt to see it, when you have shown it them. Wherefore, you as fathers resolve to give you as it were obedience forever, and so thanking you for your most good and excellent laws, they do pray for you as the very worthiness and the right honorable lords and fathers assembled in Parliament.